The NFL offseason in its full downswing at this point, with not a lot going on, waiting for training camp, and it's been, just kind of that time of year, right? So, welcome back to the Papa Show Knows podcast. I thought it was only fitting for me being in New Orleans this week that I would get back to kind of some Chiefs football, as New Orleans will, of course, host the Super Bowl this year coming up. Super Bowl 59 will be played in the Superdome. And the Chiefs have the best odds to win Super Bowl 59 as of right now. Of course, they would complete a huge historical three-peat that no other team in the NFL has ever completed. If they are able to get back to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl this upcoming season. So excited to kind of get back into some Chiefs talk and a little bit of news about the Chiefs and just the stadium and everything going on with of course, are the Chiefs going to move to Kansas, which First and foremost, I have not once thought the Chiefs were going to move to Kansas, even with the Star Bonds deal and all of these, kind of moving parts going on. The Chiefs have seemed pretty solidified in staying at Arrowhead. That's been the news, or everything that they've said. I don't think the Chiefs have really said anything other than possibly exploring possibilities to move over to the Kansas side, but nothing is, the Chiefs management at least has put out. If anything, I always thought the Royals would probably be the ones that end up making that move over to the Kansas side. And they've had some great renderings come across that I actually really like that would be right on state line in the West Bottoms. And I think would be a great location for a stadium. You got highway access right there. The West Bottoms kind of going through a revitalization period, and a big reason why the plans before didn't really pan out was, of course, they're going to put the Royal Stadium in the Crossroads District, and a lot of people had big issues with that. So I think the new plans look really good, and I think at the end of the day, the Chiefs really just want to see the Royals kind of move out of the Truman Sports Complex and able to do whatever they want to do. The renderings that we got of what was going to happen to Arrowhead, I think, is exactly what the Chiefs would like to do moving forward. But again, as I said, I'm in New Orleans this week, so a little bit different scenery, of course, behind me, and using this different mic, so I'm hoping that the quality comes through. It hasn't been up to my liking, but we'll be back to the studio next week and be able to studio, aka my basement, to get back to getting things on task and properly. But I wanted to be able to kind of put something out. I haven't talked about the Chiefs in a few weeks, so I wanted to be able to kind of discuss the Chiefs. And you guys are enjoying the film reviews, and I really appreciate the feedback and the support I've gotten from that. We're pushing through to hit that 200 subscriber mark before the season starts, and I think that we're absolutely going to hit it. And moving right along into kind of talking about training camp. Training camp begins. The first date on the list is Sunday, July 21st. I think we'll hit 200 before training camp even begins, and we'll have to up that number once again. It was supposed to be 150. We're sitting right around the 160 range. So I just want to say thank you to all the support from Chiefs Kingdom out there and beyond, whether you're enjoying the baseball content, MMA content, or right here with the football content. I appreciate you. So smash that subscribe button. And let's continue growing and on that road to 200. So first things first, let's jump into the news from today, which is that Missouri is kind of fighting back now over the Chiefs and the Royals. And this is coming straight from an NFL.com article that I'm looking at right now. Missouri Governor says new public aid plan is in the works for the Chiefs-Royals stadiums. And this is coming from Jefferson City, Missouri, of course, the capital of Missouri. Governor Parson said Thursday that he expects the state to put together an aid plan by the end of the year to try to keep the Kansas City Chiefs and Royals from being lured across state lines to new stadiums in Kansas. Missouri's renewed efforts come after Kansas had approved a plan last week that would finance up to 70% of the cost of the new stadium. So I actually wasn't sure about the number. I thought they were going to fund all of it, but they're going to fund up to 70%, which is huge. Governor Mike Parson said, we're going to make sure that we put our best business deal we can on the line, told reporters while hosting Chiefs' two most recent Super Bowl trophies at the Capitol, where fans lined up for photos. Look, I can't blame Kansas for trying, Parson added. if I was probably sitting there, I'd be doing the same thing. But at the end of the day, we're going to be competitive. So this is what I kind of honestly, I don't know. I didn't expect the state of Missouri, I guess, to maybe try to make a push as much as they are, what it seems like they're going to. The Chiefs and Royals have played for over 50 years in side-by-side stadiums built in eastern Kansas City, drawing fans from both sides in the split metropolitan area. Their stadium leases run until 2031, but Royals owner John Sherman says that the team won't play at Kauffman Stadium beyond the 2030 season, expressing preference for a new downtown stadium. So, more than likely, the Royals aren't going to get a downtown stadium. I mean, even if you're putting it in the west bottoms on state line, even if you're going over the Kansas side, that's not downtown. I mean, that's not where they want the stadium. The stadium they want is the stadium they proposed that got turned down. I think really is what it boils down to. And I don't know where you really, we've heard all kinds of things. North Kansas City was one that was thrown in there at one point. This, the Crossroads, obviously the one that failed, and then now kind of pushing this West Bottoms one, which is fine. I think that it's a good area for a baseball stadium, but I think with the Chiefs, I don't really think that we've gotten anything other than the Chiefs are going to stay at Arrowhead. They're going to build on Arrowhead. The team's offices are there, the practice facilities there, and I think that there's a lot of naive thought, and this is where I'm going to get a little polarizing, because shout out to everybody on the Kansas side that thinks the Chiefs are going over to the Kansas side, because you've lost your mind. If you are over on the Kansas side and you think the Chiefs are coming, you might as well keep waiting. You're going to be waiting a long time before the Chiefs jump over to Kansas. I just cannot see it happening. The one thing, and shout out to Ray and Bryce for this, because I've had conversations with both of them about this, is the only thing that honestly worries me about the Chiefs possibly going from the Missouri side to the Kansas side is sports betting. Sports betting is legal on the Kansas side. It's not legal on the Missouri side. And the Missouri side is still kind of shuffling their feet. And, one thing that I think you could say to Mike Parson is, hey, man, make sure this gets passed, and you're going to have a team no matter what with the Chiefs, I think. Because I don't think the Chiefs really have or want to move. They have not indicated that they want to move or even build a new stadium. They want to build onto Arrowhead. They want to build their own thing out of Arrowhead. And, I mean, they know that this is essentially the golden era of Chiefs football. This era of Chiefs football is not going to be able to be replicated, and right now is the time to strike while the pan is hot. And, that's what they are trying to do. They're trying to get the Royals out of there. They're trying to build, basically, a Chiefs kingdom, if you will, build your own little football Disney World over there at Arrowhead. The renderings I liked personally add the addition of, what am I trying to say? Luxury boxes and suites and things like that. And like you see some of these newer NFL stadiums where these suites are right there on the field, and that's what they're trying to accomplish, which, the regular fan like me or, the crowd I sit next to in 321, we don't care about any of that. But the amenities added to outside of the stadium, I think, is huge. Adding the little football field out there, adding a stage, where you can have concerts before the game, where you can have the NFL Today crew, the ESPN crew, the whoever, and I mean, at the end of the day, it was 6 years in a row. It's been 7 years in a row. The Chiefs have been to the AFC Championship game, hosted it 6 years in a row. I mean, could you imagine the NFL Today crew being outside of Arrowhead, which I don't know if they really want to do in the middle of January because it's brutal, but nonetheless, you have that opportunity to build, and even college games. Maybe there's been rumblings that the Chiefs the Tigers and the Jayhawks could possibly renew their football rivalry at Arrowhead, and like they had the border war there for many years. What that was about 10, 15 years ago now, and possibly bringing that back to light. You could have College Game Day there. They would have a setup ready and made there. I mean, and the University of Kansas, I think, is playing every single home game at Arrowhead this upcoming year because their stadium out there is in construction, which is funny in and of itself. The Kansas Jayhawks playing all of their games in Missouri for 2024. I digress, but Again, this is where I'm going to get real polarizing, poking all the fun I can over at the Kansas side. That's what we do here in Kansas City. So, I mean, honestly, I'd be shocked to see if the Chiefs went over to the Kansas side. The Royals, I kind of saw this coming from the beginning, at least after the deal got struck down of putting them in the crossroads. And going back to that, John Sherman says they want a downtown stadium. But even if you're moving to that West Bottoms location over by state line, you're still, I mean, I think you'd be a little bit closer, right? You'd be a little bit closer to downtown, but I mean, you're still probably a good 10 minutes away. And then with the traffic of a ball game, I mean, who knows how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B? Because I mean, really, you're pretty close to downtown where they're at right now in the Truman Sports Complex. But obviously, with game day traffic, that's going to slow you down. You're about 10, 15 minutes away, if that. Probably 10 minutes or less with no traffic. But I mean, with game day traffic, it takes a minute, obviously, to get out of the complex, to get onto I-70, to get back to downtown. But I still think that, you're not far away. And even if you're moving to that West Bottoms location, I mean, it's roughly about the same, you know, same distance, I think. I mean, just about, maybe a little less time, to get downtown from there. I don't know. We'll see. And, obviously we're going to keep on seeing how the streetcar moves, as I think this is just more of a Kansas City discussion as a whole rather than it is the two sports teams. Obviously, going to Kansas or not. But going back to the Chiefs, I think really the only thing that takes the Chiefs away from Missouri is the possibility of the sports betting. As other teams, the NFL has granted access to put sports books inside stadiums, and we've already seen plans from other teams to put sports books directly into stadiums. And I mean, that's just a revenue machine right there. And especially the way sports betting has gone in the last few years, and the popularity of it all, I think is, that is one way that I think the Chiefs could be lured over to Kansas, no matter on the funding or not. But at the end of the day, they're playing right into their hands. I mean, the Chiefs have done this for the last 20 years. The last time that we got renovations on the K and Arrowhead, the same exact thing. Oh, we'll go to Kansas. Kansas will give us what we want. It's been the same exact thing for the last 20 years. They made a ploy, and they have this other option of going to another state because it's just across the river. And they've played it perfectly again, because now here's Mike Parson saying we're going to make sure that we keep our teams. And we'll see what happens with the Royals. I almost feel like that ship has sailed with the Royals after the renderings that we saw with the West Bottoms location. And I think it's a beautiful stadium, and the concept of it being right on the state line, I think, is also fun too and interesting. You get somebody hits a ball out of the ballpark in the right field, they might just hit it from Kansas to Missouri. I've seen some funny takes online about just, hey, let's build a stadium right in the middle of state line, and you see Patrick Mahomes throw touchdown passes from Missouri to Kansas or Kansas to Missouri. I think that's it's fun in theory. I don't think that in a million years you get both sides of the state to share a stadium. But either way, I think that it's going to be fun to see what happens. I think the Chiefs stay in Missouri. I'm a little less, I told Bryce that I was about 90% sure that the Kansas City Royals would move over to the Kansas side after, the West Bottoms reveal. And now I'm a little bit more back towards maybe like 70, 65%, just because I just wonder how hard the Missouri will push to keep the Royals. Just because, I mean, the Chiefs, especially right now, are the asset. I mean, the Royals have had a great start to the season. They've kind of, went off into normal Royals baseball, I think, the last week or so. But either way, we'll see, where we go from here. I think it'll be interesting to see how things progress now that, Missouri is all in, saying, look, we're going to keep our teams, and we're going to do everything we can to keep both teams in the state of Missouri, because you're going to have to build a new stadium. One, John Sherman's already said, and two, I mean, the writing's on the wall. Clark Hunt, Mark Donovan, the way that they've said things, they just want the Royals out. They want the Royals out. They want to build up Arrowhead and Truman Sports Complex to be a Chiefs paradise, essentially. That's what I've gotten from the beginning and what I've said on this podcast from the beginning. When we first started talking about this in February or March, when it was starting to kind of come up, and we knew we were going to get a discussion on and then a vote on it. I think that was in April that we got the vote on it. They turned it down for the Crossroads, so we'll see what happens going forward. But as we get closer to the NFL season, I said training camp is getting ready to start. We are less than a month away from training camp. That's July 21st. The training camp gets kicked off. It'll conclude Thursday, August 15th. We'll finish up training camp. But yeah, less than a month away. If you've been following Chiefs news, you saw Isaiah Buggs has been released from the team. Obviously, some legal trouble there with him. I'm not going to get too much into that. We're still kind of still curious to see where we're going to go. Left tackle, obviously, I put out the Wanya film review. You still also have Kingsley in there, the rookie left tackle. I've had conversations with people here on YouTube in the comment section on, possibly Donovan Smith still being up in the air. And he's not signed anywhere, so he's still just kind of out there. And again, we've got less than a month until training camp, so there's still a possibility we see, maybe some movement roster-wise and transaction-wise before we get into the full swing of things. I'll say, obviously, we've had some mini camps and OTAs and things like that have happened, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see the season for the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs are in a better spot this year than they were last year this time. I think the receiving core, which, obviously we're still waiting on the Rashee Rice situation and to see how that's going to pan out, but just Hollywood and Xavier Worthy together along with Travis Kelce still in the middle, I think still brings out to where this offense could have a huge year and kind of back to where the Chiefs were maybe 2018, 2019, around that time. Maybe not as explosive, obviously, with the Tyreek Hill offenses, but you add the speed of Xavier Worthy, you had the speed of Hollywood Brown mixed with the route running. I also did a film review on that. I'll put that down in the comment section below. And then I think the defense is right on course. I talked about that again in the Chenal film review that I put out last week was, you have all of these guys ready to step up, and I'm currently going through Chamari Connor's film from last year, and he's going to be my next film review. The defense, I think, is in absolutely terrific shape. I mean, it does not look like they'll slow down. Drew Tranquill's coming back. You lose Willie Gay, but Chenal, I think, is ready to take that step up and become, what Willie Gay was for the Chiefs. And, the secondary, I don't think loses a step. You lose the best corner in the NFL, and you still have maybe, another top 5 corner in the NFL taking over for him. A lot of people think McDuffie was better than Snead, which I think is insane, but that just shows you how good McDuffie was. I mean, Snead had the best year out of any corner last year. It was easily the number 1 corner in the NFL, and if you don't think that, you're lying to yourself. So there's that. I feel like I've seen plenty of people online talking about how, Snead's not that good. Snead's a system corner. I mean, we'll see in Tennessee what he does, and obviously what he had around him. You have insanely good tackling safeties. Chamari Connor, the way he plays, is absolutely terrific. Brian Cook, maybe the only guy on the defense that doesn't tackle very well, but he does his thing in coverage. Justin Reed, I think, does a great job, again, tackling. You have almost safeties that are smaller linebackers. They have better speed than the linebackers, but they tackle just as good as them. And, again, I just think the defense is set up to win. I just don't see where the defense takes much of a step back, even with losing L'Jarius Sneed. They're able to keep a lot of pieces as well. Like I said, Drew Tranquill. You still have those corners that you drafted, was that 3 years ago now, in McDuffie, Josh Williams, and not Jalen Watson. Why can I not think of his first name? But Watson, nonetheless. Might be right. I don't know where my brain is today, but I just think the defense is still set up to win right now. And with the offense having, I think, a better offense than you had last year, we'll see. So drop in the comments section below. I want to know what you guys think about the Chiefs team coming into 2024 and how you feel they're going to compete. Do you feel like the offensive line has taken a step back? Obviously, you lost a couple of pieces there on the offensive line. A backup in Nick Allegretti, moving on, obviously, but he was a big piece of that Super Bowl run, I think, there at the end. And then as well as losing Donovan Smith. How big of a loss is that? Hopefully we kind of see Wanya Morris take a step forward. His film was not great. But nevertheless, again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. We get closer and closer. Again, less than a month out till training camp. Super excited for this season. And let me know in the comments below, too, what you think about the stadiums. Are the Royals going to end up moving to Kansas? Are they going to end up staying? Obviously, you're going to get a new stadium either way. And then where are the Chiefs going? I think you're ridiculous if you think the Chiefs are moving to Kansas, but let me know either way what you think in the comment section below. And again, one more time, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the subscribers on the channel. We've literally more than doubled in the last month. Started out June with 77 subscribers, sitting at 164 right now. It's been a crazy run here in June, so I really appreciate you, and we're on the road to 200. So smash that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and smash that like button too if you enjoyed this podcast. So we'll see you next time.